Okay, so I'm making this video to document kind of a quick and dirty component mod I did on this Mitsubishi CS35505. So basically I RGB modded it. As always, it had the nice little, RGB lines going from the OSD to the jungle chip. And this TV, I think it has a Mitsubishi jungle chip. As you see, it had the 330 ohm to ground and the 2.2K inline resistors. And then when you get closer to the jungle chip, I don't want to move over there because I don't want to get lost in the lines, but it also has another 330 ohm. So anyway, I RGB modded this with the traditional mux mod method, and it looks awesome and beautiful and great. And I noticed these RY out, BY out, RY in, BY in. So I've learned over time that CRTs, sometimes they upscale. And, I just want to make it clear, I'm not an expert at this. I've self-taught. I've been doing this for maybe like a year or a little more. So don't kill me if some of my info is maybe not 100% technically, perfect. Anyway, so I've noticed that sometimes it takes composite and it uses like a comb filter or something to split it into Luma and Chroma. And then sometimes it takes that Luma and Chroma, and instead of, usually it's RGB out to the tube, as you could see, but sometimes it'll split it even again, and it'll take the Chroma and turn it into a color difference signal like RY out and BY out. So I found these lines, and I was like, well, I wonder if I can insert the signal in the middle and what it would do. So I've done this before on a Philips CRT, and it didn't work out so well. I'm still working on that CRT. I think it has something to do with, there's like a select UV pin, and I don't know if that has to be held high or low or what's going on with that. Or there's also like a UV IC that I bought and made my own little chip to try to, so I'm working on that. That's on the side. But anyway, so this TV, I noticed it just has this little simple setup. So what I did was I took these capacitors out, these 1 UF 50 volt, and I used that to disconnect the normal connections, and I inserted on the side closer to the BY in, RY in, and then I inserted my Y signal into the Y in over here. And after much messing around, I eventually got this. It took a lot to get here. So what I did was, at first, I modded, so first when I did it, there was like a weird Luma shadow, and there was, like, the color was kind of off, and there was like this weird kind of ghosting going on. So I did that at first, and I was like, okay, this doesn't look very good. But it semi-worked in that, like, it correctly interpreted the color. So, like, when I did this on the Philips, I tried to do this method. The colors were, like, inverted, like a negative, alien-looking, I guess, so to speak. And then on this one, the colors were actually correct, with the exception of the ghosting and the Luma shadow. And by Luma shadow, I mean, like, by, like, text, there was, like, an additional kind of shadow. I mean, it might still be there a little bit, but I got it a lot better by doing certain things. So I'm going to take a look at the jungle. So this TV actually has like its own little video card, which is actually really cool. It's a pretty complicated board. It has like 5 different boards. It's a little hard to see, but there's like a little, you can see it from this angle better. There's a video card in there. I'm trying to get it to focus. And you could see right here is the jungle chip. That's where I inserted the RY, BY, and my ground. And the Y I inserted somewhere over here, and I'll get to that in a second why I did that. So this is my component, proof of component, and it goes into my RGB modded SNES Junior. Anyway, there's a lot of wires because I did the RGB mod, I did the little component mod. So the first issue I had was, okay, so why do I have this Luma shadow and this interference? And what I did was I did some research looking at the schematic and you know, using like ChatGPT and asking questions about how this all works. And it said something about like Luma delay or whatever, because they said the Chroma signals technically move faster, and especially with me directly inserting it, I've now got it so that it's going straight into the chip faster than Luma would go, and Luma gets delayed. So there's these, I'll try to pull it up. So there's this little block right here, DL201, that delays the Luma. And also I noticed that it goes to the pip and then it comes back in. So it goes out the pip as main Y and main C, that's it going out, and then it comes back in. And then I noticed there's these little jumpers, RJ12, RJ11, that lets you skip that. So I put those jumpers in there, and I noticed that, and then there was also up here the comb filter, which splits, let me see if I can find it, somewhere around here. This is the switching chip. There it is. Okay, so the comb filter, so the DL201 and DL202. So the comb filter splits up Luma and Chroma, or it takes in composite and spits out Luma and Chroma, sends it back into the switching chip, and then the switching chip sends it back out. So I tried to initially insert Luma directly into, like, right before the chip, and it was black and didn't have sync. So then I inserted the sync into where it comes in by, like, the composite, and I think I remember it worked, but like the picture was still black. So when I took out the comb filter, I think if I remember correctly, that made the picture appear, but it was still delayed, like it had that Luma delay. So I had to remove the comb filter and put a jumper there, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. And then I had to remove this delay block because, and I can't show you now, but before there was around text. I'll try to, hold on, let me reset this. So, I don't know why it has that red on the top and bottom. That has something to do with, like, the color or the tint settings. When I turn it down and up, it changes it. I don't really know why that is. Like, when a picture's there, you don't really notice that weird red thing. But, anyway, you could still kind of see, like, a little bit of a Luma shadow. But trust me, it was a lot worse at one point. It, like, came out to about here before I got rid of the you know, the delay block 1 and 2 or whatever it was in the comb filter. And by getting rid of the comb filter and the delay block, I got it down to about that much. And you could, in the service menu, there's actually a way to artificially make it worse, I guess. I don't know why they include that option, but there's like an option to make the Luma delay worse. Let's see if I can bring it up. Hold on one second. Okay. So I got the service menu up. It's over here somewhere. Okay, this option. So if you click it, it makes it worse. So this is kind of what it looked like before. The Luma delay was a lot worse, and even worse than that, honestly. And I messed with this setting, and it didn't fix it. But it got rid of it a lot. But anyway, by getting rid of the delay block and shorting, like I jumpered from this resistor over to here. So I jumpered from here to here. And then I added these jumpers that were not included in this model because this model had PIP. So normally the Luma would go out here and come back, but I jumpered it so it goes across And hey, look, pip still works, so for whatever reason I put the pip back in and it still works. But so I jumpered that to that, and then on the comb filter I jumpered composite V to Y, and by doing both of that I then inserted my Luma signals, I think right over here somewhere, and that gave me Luma and sync. Or no, I think I still pull sync from the composite port, but that gave me the Luma, so I inserted Luma there. I don't know why, but I inserted Luma closer to the chip, so there was a little while where I had Luma inserted like right before it goes in the chip, like right here, and it just looked weird and had all kinds of visual artifacts. So I don't know why. I swear to God, I pulled the video chip out like 50 times and moved it over here and over here and over here around all these buffers and sync separator and all this amplifying stuff. Like, I moved it around in all those little sections and it never looked right until I moved it about here. And like I said, maybe it's not perfect. It still has that little bit of Luma shadow, but I would say it's like 99% of the way there. And again, this is like a little quick and dirty hack I did myself. I didn't use any guide to do this. I'm only documenting it because I've never seen anyone else bring it up. Now, I'm not a forum guy. I don't like hanging out on Reddit or the Shmups forum. I'm not someone who visits forums very often. So, not that I don't use them for information when I'm Google searching, but I don't really make accounts and comment back and forth with people. So, listen, there's probably someone else who's probably already did this, kind of hacking the RY-BY difference. It's kind of an obvious thing to do. I'm not saying I invented this. I'm just saying I'm the first one that's trying to document it on YouTube, because I noticed on YouTube when I type in component mods, the only component mods you really see anything about are the Sony ones, which are with the CXA chips or whatever they have, the CXA 2095 or 25 or whatever it is, AS. Those chips are well documented because those CRTs use UV for their pip. So people have found a way to, and they also have a UV switch pin. So people have found a way to make a really, 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 really clean component mod on the Sony TVs. Also, I know Philips TVs are well documented for being able to component mod, like the I think 101 chassis or L103 or something like that. And that comes out really good. But I've never heard of anyone ever like doing a component mod to, like, you know, a chopped RY-BY color different signal that leaves the chip and comes back in. And again, I'm just gonna say for the record, I don't know, maybe someone has, maybe there's a Shmups forum post about it, maybe people have already done this. And I'm sure the reason why maybe it's not more popular or talked about is probably because they generally can't get it done without having some type of visual artifact. Like maybe the people who have done this mod before can't really get it done without some form of visual artifact. And like I said, it has that little bit of Luma shadow. But when I play a game, I mean, it looks totally fine. Just so you know, this TV also does have a little bit of burn-in. So that's also part of the reason why I've experimented with this TV so much. Normally, I wouldn't F around that much with a TV, but since the tube had burn-in, I was like, you know what, what's the problem? What's it gonna hurt? Even if I destroy it or blow it up, I don't have to feel bad because it had burn-in. Also, the tube tested pretty bad. I have a Sencore CR7000, and the tube tested pretty bad. I had to run a restore on it, so there's a good chance it doesn't have much life left anyway. So, but I did get it to test as good after doing the auto restore. I didn't do any of the heavy settings. I just did like a quick little auto restore. On B&K, they call it clean and balance. And it looked gorgeous after that, and it all tested good. So it must have had a little bit of crud on the guns that I was able to clear off by doing that little bit of restoration current. And it looked great after that, and it all tested good. So, hey, it is what it is. But there was burn-in because when I got the TV, it had vertical collapse. Or no, not vertical collapse, sorry, vertical fold over. So there was a line up here and a line down at the bottom. And I pulled out the 100 UF capacitor by the vertical chip. And it didn't really fix it. Well, no, it fixed it, sorry, but it didn't get rid of, you know. So you could see the burn-in a little more better on this screen. like the color difference kind of right about where Mario's ear is. If you look across, like it's slightly lighter. But honestly, this TV's still cool to play with because, you know, and also another thing is you could see it when the TV's off. That's more proof that it's like pretty solid burning. Because at first I was in denial. I was like, I don't know. I fixed the vertical fold over. What if it's something else? I don't know. But once I saw it when the TV was turned off with a flashlight, I was like, oh God, it's burning. So, you know. But anyway, again, I'm just making this video to document this. I don't really care if anyone ever watches this. This is more just for myself and a proof of concept. Just to prove that you can insert a Chroma signal, a RYBY Chroma signal into the color difference, leaving the chip and going back into the chip. And sometimes you can make it work pretty good. Because I've done this, I've attempted this on other CRTs and it has not worked out good. Like I said, when I did it on the, I did it on a Philips, an older Philips, a TP3284. It is very alien looking, and I'm going to work on that one a little more. I feel like I can get it working with some more finagling, but for now, I don't have it working. But then I tried it on this Mitsubishi just to test, like, will it look alien like the Philips, or will it look correct? Maybe like as like just a way to see, is there something wrong with the Philips? Am I doing something wrong, or is this even possible to do? Because again, I never hear people talking about doing this, so I just wanted to see if it was even possible. I wish I could show more of what I did on the video card. I have pictures of it, but I'm just trying to do a quick video. I'm not really trying to bring up Adobe Premiere and edit a whole bunch of pictures in and stuff. I'm being a lazy YouTuber, but I'll try to show a little bit of what I did. You know, there's the jungle chip. I know it's not really, actually, let me get some light here. There we go. Oh, that's a lot better, actually. Okay, so you can see where I inserted the RYBY. There, it's grounded. Right there, that little white spot, you can see where the delay block was. And the comb filter was right there. So that's the jumper on the comb filter. I made a little plug for the RYBY and the ground. The other little wires you see in there are my RGB mod, which, the RGB mod is gorgeous, honestly. It looks really good. And then that little yellow wire you see down there, that's jumping the other delay block. And, another thing I did too, just to mention, is here's my little setup of the component mod with the 75 ohm the ground and the sink going into the green. And the grounds are all connected, you know, the typical setup. There's 0.1 UF coupling caps in there, and inside that black shrink wrap. And then I made these little plugs just to make it easier to take on and off. There's a little plug on the green and stuff too. But yeah, I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. It's not perfect, but it's just a proof of concept that this is even possible to possibly do. So in the future, as you know, the next generation of people are messing with CRTs that aren't, you know, technicians, because, you know, you always got your boomer technicians on Facebook that, you know, shit on the younger people, that just think we're all idiots, and we probably are. But at the same time, we're discovering new things, because I didn't see any boomers do RGB mods. I'm pretty sure the person who started doing the RGB mods, I think it was Mark Oslad or something. And Sunflower, who's popularized it a lot more. Like, I'm pretty sure they're not boomers. They're, you know, people all in there, like millennials or Gen Z or Gen X. Anyway, here, I'll plug in RGB just to show what it looks like. Just to, there are some weird things about this mod. I don't know why, but when I, just to, maybe somebody who knows more about the science behind CRTs, they can kind of figure out why this happens. But when I insert the sound ports in, for some reason, it makes it look like shit. Like it turns all purple and weird looking. I don't know what the hell that's about. Again, it's a quick and dirty hack. Also, when I insert the SCART port in, it makes it look a little different. I don't know why that is either. It like changes the color profile kind of. Let me see if you could see it when I go back over there. Yeah, see, it kind of made it a little darker. I don't know what that's about, honestly. So, maybe somebody in the future who wants to attempt to do more mods like this can further, who's smarter than me and knows more about CRTs and the science behind all this stuff, maybe they'll be able to figure out what's going on and why it does what it does. Let's see. Well, I'm having some technical difficulties, so I'm just going to stop it here. But, yeah.